Stasia Bliss. If you have been here a while, maybe you'll notice that I'm shifting a little bit on this channel. There's some big changes going on. So instead of saying Kundalini awakening or embodiment, it now says Life Force Oracle. And I'm shifting that because I'm going to start playing around with doing some readings on some of these videos. I do them occasionally, usually on a portal time or just when I'm feeling it, but I am sort of getting a nudge to do a sort of regular reading just a couple of days a week. So that will take away maybe 3 days. I'll do, like 4 signs a day and see where that goes. Today I am continuing the tarot conversation on the Devil card, which is the next card in our lineup. That's card 15. So one of my decks looks like this. Traditionally, the Devil card mirrors the Lover's card, which in this deck it doesn't really, because generally there's a figure, the Devil and 2 figures, and then the Lover's card is like an angel and 2 figures. That's the traditional tarot. So I think that's important symbology, because the Devil card, it signifies almost like the dark side of love, or like love doesn't actually have a dark side, but human love can. So we've talked about divine love versus human love. Devil card can come up in that attempt to love self or love another, where instead we fall into the trappings of addictions or codependencies or the shadow elements, the unaddressed, suppressed. And it can be sexuality, but I see it like falling on that very fine line, where Tantra also falls, where it's so easy to go from it being like a spiritual practice where you're actually utilizing kind of a taboo element of life to dip into the sacred. And of course the Lover's card is hidden in the 6 of the 15, 1-5. The 6 card is the Lover's. So it's in there, right? The ability to access authenticity and love is in the Devil card too. It's in the taboo, it's in the sexuality, it's in the shadow self, but only if it's not suppressed. Actually, if the Devil card's upside down, now we're getting somewhere. We've turned it on its head. We are now accessing, and one of my favorite things to do with people is shadow work, which is looking at those unaddressed or unembraced parts of ourselves and learning how to love those parts of us too. And this is probably the stickiest, hardest stuff in relationship, and what generally breaks people apart is the discomfort with these elements, the shadow components, which are, if you look at the major arcana, this card is part of the journey, right? It's not like a card we're trying to miss. It's actually an essential part of the journey of consciousness, in the hero's journey, in, self-realizing, if you will, is to take the time and notice. And none of us go without any codependencies or without addictions. They're going to show up differently for each of us. Some of them might be more inflated and more intense than for others of us, and I'm like tilting my head because the sun. Maybe I'll just move my chair. So it shows up for us in different degrees. For myself, I grew up in an intensely religious upbringing, so there was a lot of sexual and emotional suppression there, which would fall into the shadow elements. Of course, the Devil was very representative growing up of like, don't do this or you're hanging out with the devil, like that was sort of a fear tactic used, like don't fight with each other because that's the devil's work, kind of thing. But it's funny when you take the charge off the word devil and you go, okay, yes, in that it's the shadow stuff. Like usually fighting is like unexpressed passion or emotion, or you're trying to like stand up for something but you don't really know how to, or you're feeling an injustice. So you want to address it, but you have too much emotional suppression, so it's coming out like an attack, or you're responding to what feels like a trigger event, because again, elements are shadowed, things are suppressed. If everyone was able to fully come from love, the Lover's card, from pure, authentic presence, then we could even hand each other things like, you know, I'm feeling very trapped in this situation, and we can, instead of responding, what, you're trapped, like, how dare you, you know, that you could respond with, oh, interesting that you're feeling that way. I wonder where this is coming from. Let's explore. You know, I don't want to make you feel trapped, like, you know, and exploring it as an observer. So Devil's card actually in the reverse, but even in the upright, it can say like, try utilizing detachment. This idea of detachment, try detaching yourself, try tethering yourself, unchaining yourself to the emotional outcome, to the pattern. You know, codependency comes when one can't do something without the other's permission, or without the other attending, or, you know, like being very like afraid of what the other person's going to say, kind of doing everything in response to them rather than, or reacting to them rather than responding to them, rather than like allowing space for one another to express. And, you know, like if it's difficult, you know, before just attacking and shutting it down, first drawing back into self and asking the shadow questions like, why is this triggering me right now? Like, why is this making me feel uncomfortable? And doing the inner work before like making it about the other person, right? So the Devil card is always like an opportunity to do some self-owning, right? And so even right now, getting this video today, this is an opportunity for everyone present watching it, no matter what day it is for you. This is the energy coming to you today and saying like, where are you attached to the outcome? Where are you experiencing codependency or an addictive, jealous, you know, attached sort of personality or action, where instead you could maybe detach and do the shadow work. Look at that. Like, why is this affecting me this way? Like, what is this bringing up in me that I still need to love and heal about myself and integrate? Because remember, we're coming from temperance, right? We're in the healing, but in the healing process, it's not all roses. Actually, healing is very intense, and it does comprise the next card. So it's funny, the angel and the devil, that's like, they're sitting on your shoulder. You do have to give yourself the angelic support, but then you have to be able to visit the devil on your shoulder and ask the hard questions of yourself so that you can help move yourself out of a situation. So let's say there's a great misunderstanding, or, you know, someone is like wanting you to act a certain way and you cannot feel like you can act that way. So one way is to get super frustrated and resentful and act that way anyway, but kind of do it with a chip on your shoulder and silently be having bad feelings toward that person. You know, that's one way to handle it. That's more like the devilish way, right? Or you could say, hey, this is infringing on my ability to feel authentic in myself and powerful in myself. And so can we look at what the needs really are here, what you really need for me to do, and what maybe somebody else can do, or what you need to look at in order to not project pain on me. So like mature conversations are what the devil is asking us to do. Unfortunately, if we're in the devil energy ourselves, we may be reactive, we may be immature. Codependency is a less mature phase of relating. Okay, after codependency becomes independence, but that's also less mature than now interdependence, where you have two dependent on themselves people, independent people, collaborating. So that's another phase of relationship, is interdependence, right? And actually we need to be interdependent in the society. Like, we don't want to be codependent. We also don't want to be like super independent either. Everyone cannot do this thing by themselves. So once you get to that interdependent stage and you're not around a lot of other people doing that, it's a little bit frustrating. So the Devil card is part of the movement from, like, it's the breaking of the old paradigm and chains and bondage and matrix of codependency and old patterns of behavior to get through, along with that Temperance card, a healing energy. And of course, we're coming into the Tower shortly, which is realizing you kind of just have to change everything, or the universe is going to do it for you. So looking at the shadow stuff is being able to turn and go, oh yeah, these things have been ruling my life. Or, oh yeah, I used to be responding that way, and that's not a way I want to be anymore. Like, that's part of the healing of Temperance too, is sitting side by side with the Devil, angel and the Devil. Like, that's the life, death, life, nature. Again, is that positive and negative. You're seeing that in the traditional Devil card, you have the man and woman, which is representing duality, and having to reconcile the poles and get good with our own shadow elements. That doesn't mean like not change anything, but love about ourselves, everything in the past that maybe other people didn't love about us. Say we had an addiction and we're wanting to move out of that. Like, the only way to truly break an addiction is to apply the shadow of the shadow, which is love. You know, the other side of the Devil card is the love card, is lovers. So to move out of the addiction, first we have to look back at ourselves being addicted to something and say, I accept and love that part of me too. I love that part of me too. I was doing what I needed to deal at that time, and this is all I knew how to deal based on everything that happened to me and where I was. And so, you know, part of the healing process is integrating the shadow, is accepting that we all got a little demon inside us. We all got the Devil, you know, in us. That's the shadow. That's the unseen. That's the part of us that craves, you know, that wants to be a little naughty, or like wants to try things out, you know. And there's nothing actually wrong with doing any of the devilish things, so to speak. Again, as long as inappropriate, non-harmful to other people moments, you know. Like, I was telling someone the other day that I've been through a phase where I've tried all sorts of substances and lots of plant medicines and so forth. Smoked tobacco for a while, but it's like, not that it is so bad in and of itself, any of these things. It's just to become like dependent or addicted or chained for your existence to these things outside of us is disempowering. But when we can find the use in them, the medicine, and that's like what walking the medicine path is to me, is, and being shamanic about life, is recognizing the purpose in the medicines. That tobacco can be a holy medicine when utilized in ceremony, and to thank the earth, and as a blessing, and as a way to imbibe with spirit in a specific setting on a specific day, you know, a ceremonial or portal day. And that's the same thing with other things as well. There might be an appropriate time to sit and have a glass of wine, you know. And of course, if you are someone that's struggling with addictions and you have an addictive personality and that's not a possible thing for you to use something as a medicine one time, then do not take this as a recommendation to do that. I'm simply giving an example of moving from Devil energy to integrate the shadow, right? And to find yourself in a different relationship with things which were previously addictive or codependent. It's like having a bad relationship with someone and then later being able to come into a friendship and a like workable, say you have kids and you suddenly have a nice relationship where you're able to support and love one each other, even though you're not in an intimate relationship and you both have your own lives. There becomes, you've moved from a codependent, abusive relationship into having a nice co-parenting situation. Like, that's an evolution. That's a healing of integration of the shadow self, utilizing the healing of temperance and recognizing everything has to change with the tower, you know, like changing everything. Like, you can't go on like that. That's not a sustainable way of living. So the devil just brings these things up to our faces so that we recognize, oh yeah, I need to address this in my life. This is something that's been creeping in the shadow. It's like the skeletons in the closet, that truly to have an enriching life, we need to bring those out, and we need to find a way to honor them and bring peace to ourselves with these things. You know, we're not here to beat ourselves up. Shadow work isn't about like berating ourselves for doing something in the past at all. It's like those things taught us, and they molded us, and they shaped us, and now we get to tell a new story and shape ourselves anew, and, you know, put those things on, you know, in cupboards or in drawers or on display cabinets, or incinerate them, or, you know, remember, nothing truly ever is gone from us. It just changes forms. You know, energy is not created or destroyed, it transforms. It's transformative. So when we realize, like, there's things that we've done or there's things that we've experienced that will always be a part of our experience. We can't go back and erase anything, but we can go back and use the devil archetype influence to look at those things that we wish were different and write a new story about them. Tell them in a different way. Make art out of them. Allow them to contribute to your life now in a positive way. Like, what can be a positive takeaway of those things that you've experienced that have felt very hard and sad? And if you have something you're struggling with and this is hard for you, write it in the comments, and I would love to help work that through. Or you're welcome to book a session with me, or readings are always done by donation. I've got my email and my website below. As I say on these videos, I am here for you as you're struggling and working through things, but just to put a little clause out there, sometimes people think that means to find me on a text app and just text me and text me and text me all the time. And I'm honored. I just don't really have the bandwidth for that. So I've got to relegate it into, of course, you can send me questions and email correspondence. That's easier for me to regulate. If we get into a place where we're connected other ways, please just honor that space for me is all I ask. And set up specific times if you would like to connect, or send me an email for me to get to at my leisure also. And I do respect you. I do respect everything you're going through. We're all going through a lot right now. So for me, the devil is addressing some of that stuff. I definitely open up a big container for people to, you know, let go of a lot of their stuff onto me. That's a service that I provide, and I do ask for some kind of exchange for that, because that does take a lot of my energy, and that is pretty much all I'm focusing my life on, besides my kids, is supporting people in transformation, because I personally have been through so many transformations, so many difficult times, so many hard journeys, so many changes of housing, so many changes of relationships, so many losses, so many betrayals and disruptions and moves, and personal disappointments, and crazy body stuff, and health things, and accidents, and I mean, I could go on and on. And so, like, I sit in this position as a servant because I've managed to get myself to a positive, you know, helpful place to myself, but also a place where I feel like I can be of service and guide someone also through a difficult passage and whatever you might be going through. So I want to do that. I don't want to get sour about that though, so please just honor my space and my time for you, and I will do the same for you. Okay, thanks for being here again today. I hope this is helpful, and I encourage you to look for and find what's showing up for you right now in your life that is an attachment, that is a devil shadow part of you that can be brought into embrace, acceptance, love, and transformed into a new story. Okay, if I can assist, please do let me know. Please like, subscribe, and yeah, we'll see how next week goes. I'm going to start doing we'll just start with September for all the signs, and just see how it goes. I personally love to do readings. It's one of my favorite things to do with people. So we'll see how it goes. I do like to do collective readings. I like to do personal readings more, but we'll see how this goes. I think I want to add it to the channel. I think it'll be a lot of fun. So if you have any comments on that or questions, or you want to cheer me on, give me a like, and I'll see you soon.